All right, let's get right into it. We need to talk about AI because it seems to be having a massive identity crisis. I mean, one minute it's the engine that's going to power our future, right? The next, people are screaming it's the biggest bubble since the dot-com bust. So, what is going on?
It really feels like it happened overnight. The whole conversation just flipped. All that optimism, poof, turned into panic. All the talk about a boom, now it's all bubble warnings. The big question is, what on earth just happened?
So, to really get to the bottom of this, we're going to follow three main threads. We'll look at the absolutely staggering amount of money being thrown around, truly incredible breakthroughs that are happening in the real world, and, of course, that growing list of dangers that has everyone, well, a little on edge. Okay, so first up, AI's sudden identity crisis. Let's start with that exact moment the narrative just completely flipped, because it was fast and it left a lot of us wondering what we'd missed. And this question right here from a user on Reddit just nails the confusion perfectly. They're basically saying, for months and months, the vibe was, tempered optimism. And then, bam, it's like a dam broke and all this bubble talk just flooded in. And you can see just how sudden it was right here on this timeline. I mean, look at this. Before the week of October 11th, you'd only really hear AI bubble on some personal blogs or, deep in a Reddit thread. But after that week, it was everywhere. We're talking Bloomberg, the Wall Street Journal, even the IMF and JP Morgan suddenly started singing a very different tune, leading this new chorus of concern. All right, section 2, the trillion-dollar question, boom or bubble? Let's follow the money. Because to really understand why people are scared of a bubble, you first have to grasp the absolutely mind-boggling scale of the boom. Okay, check out this number, $38 billion. That's not a typo. That's the potential price tag on a massive infrastructure deal between Amazon Web Services and OpenAI. It's a number so big, it's almost hard to wrap your head around. And what this deal really shows is the incredible scale of what's being built. We're talking hundreds of thousands of top-of-the-line NVIDIA GPUs. This isn't just about shuffling money around. It's about building the actual physical backbone for the future of AI. It's a huge vote of confidence from the biggest players in the game. Which brings us to the big question, right? If the smartest people in the room are making bets this huge, why is everyone so worried about a bubble? Well, it turns out it's not about if the money is moving, but how. And that brings us to this concept of circular investments. The anxiety, the bubble talk, it's all coming from this. Critics are basically saying that these gigantic deals, they're not really new money coming into the system. It's more like a shell game. You have these massive tech companies announcing deals with each other, making it look like there's this huge boom, but really, they're just moving already committed funds around to boost hype and valuations. And OpenAI is a perfect example. Just look at these numbers. Their spending commitments. We're talking around $800 billion. But their projected revenue for 2025? Just $13 billion. They're operating with a massive negative cash flow. And that gap, that huge disconnect between what they're spending and what they're actually earning, that's what has investors really, really spooked. Okay, section 3, miracles versus mass layoffs. Because this tension, it isn't just something you see on a balance sheet. In the real world, for real people, AI's arrival feels like both a miracle and a menace, often at the exact same time. I mean, on the one hand, you have these incredible life-saving breakthroughs. Take Google's Deep Somatic AI. It analyzed samples from kids with leukemia and found 10 new genetic variants that, get this, every single human doctor had completely missed. That's not just a small step forward, that is a monumental leap that could literally save lives. But then, on the other hand, you have Geoffrey Hinton, who was literally called the Godfather of AI, sounding a major alarm. He's warning that if we only use AI to increase profits for a handful of people, well, we're going to end up in a very, very bad place. He's talking about inequality on a scale we've never seen before. And his proposed solutions are, they're pretty radical. He's talking about things like universal basic income, much stronger protections for workers, big systemic changes. The whole point is to make sure that the incredible wealth AI is going to create doesn't just get funneled to the very top, but actually benefits everyone. Okay, next section, the race for supremacy. This mix of massive potential and massive risk, it's kicked off this frantic global race.
And it's happening on two tracks at once. First, there's the tech arms race, the race to build more and more powerful tech.
A great example is what's happening in the chip market. For years, NVIDIA has been the undisputed king, right? But now you've got these new challengers popping up, like Accelera, and their strategy is really interesting. They're not trying to beat NVIDIA on raw power. Instead, they're focusing on being way more energy efficient. And if they pull it off, it could make powerful AI way more accessible, breaking the stranglehold a few giants have on the whole industry.
And then there's the second race, which is just as frantic, the race for control, the race to write the rules of the game.
And right now, governments are playing a desperate game of catch-up. They're rushing to pass laws to deal with the most obvious dangers, like deepfakes. You're seeing things like the Take It Down Act, which actually criminalizes non-consensual deepfakes, and the Defiance Act, which lets victims sue. It's the beginning of a whole new era of trying to hold this tech accountable.
But the problem is, the goalposts are always moving. Just when we think we're getting a handle on today's AI, the next wave is already hitting the shore, and that's agentic AI. We're talking about autonomous systems that operate on their own, and that opens up a whole new can of worms when it comes to risk. You've got these new threats like prompt injection, basically tricking the AI, or memory poisoning, where you corrupt what it knows. We're really just starting to figure out how to even defend against this stuff.
So, we've got the boom, the bubble fears, the incredible breakthroughs, and this frantic race for control. The big question is, what does it all mean? And I think Geoffrey Hinton really brings it all home with this quote. The point is, the problem isn't the AI itself. It's a tool. It's not some force of nature that's just happening to us. The future it creates, whether that's good or bad, comes down entirely to the choices we make about how we structure our society and our economy around it.
Look, AI is here. It's not going back in the box. So the question isn't if it's going to change the world anymore. The real question is, what kind of world will we choose to build with it? Boom, bubble, or breakthrough. Ultimately, that final answer, it's really up to us.